Effective communication was a bedrock for Amazon's success, enabling Jeff Bezos to build Amazon from a small online bookseller based in a garage to the world's largest online retailer and cloud service provider. Amazon is a prime example of how an effective culture of communication can lead to an organization's success. In a world where research shows that 40% or 24 minutes out of every hour of the time professionals have is spent selling their ideas, both within and outside the confines of an organization, communication is more important than it ever was. As communication is also the top skill desired by employers around the world, according to data from Indeed.com, one of the world's largest job sites, it is not only a topic that's worth studying, it's a skill that's worth mastering. Africa's brightest would benefit greatly from Jeff's strategies because they are a blueprint for using effective communication to build the innovative, fast growing, and impactful organizations that Africa needs to build a brighter future. Carmine Gallo, in his book The Bezos Blueprint Communication Secrets of the World's Greatest Salesman, shows how Bezos mastered the art of effective leadership by instilling a culture of communication into the company. The communication principles that he pioneered were essential to the company's product development, growth, sales, investor relations, and capital raising strategies. The company he built became a totally different animal in the technology industry, where talented software engineers spent a huge chunk of their time preparing memos instead of coding. Everyone used DOS for desks and PowerPoint was banned. As much of an anomaly as Amazon was, the principles they espoused were working to build a culture around customer obsession, frugality, speed, and inventiveness. That culture became the engine that drove and still drives Amazon towards success in the many product categories that they are in. Bezos is one of a select few who have piqued the interest of the legendary biographer Walter Isaacson, who wrote classics on Leonardo da Vinci, Steve Jobs, and Einstein. When asked which leader in modern times was most alike to the historical figures he had written about, Isaacson said that it was Bezos. Isaacson went to explain what made Bezos special by saying, Bezos has a personal passion for writing, narrative, and storytelling. Bezos connects a deep interest in communication and a love for humanities to his enthusiasm for technology and instinct for business. That trifecta, humanities, technology, and business, is what has made him one of our era's most successful and influential innovators. So, how exactly did Jeff Bezos communicate for impact? Here are some essential insights on his strategies. 1. Keeping communication simple, clear, and consistent makes your message memorable. Simplicity, clarity, and consistency are essential to effective communication because they impact your audience's ability to understand and recall the ideas you convey. Bezos had one of the most memorable commencement speeches ever for the 2010 Princeton class. The part that struck me the most was when he said,
What I want to talk to you about today is the difference between gifts and choices. Cleverness is a gift. Kindness is a choice. Gifts are easy. They're given after all. Choices can be hard. You can seduce yourself with your gifts if you're not careful, and if you do, it'll probably be to the detriment of your choices.
In the end, we are our choices. That part resonates with me because its simplicity and clarity gave more power to the message of his talk. When a study was conducted on the linguistic elements of the speech, it was found to be memorable to anyone with at least a grade 7 education. That simple fact shows why it was so memorable. There's a reason why Harry Potter, with a readability of grade 6 to 8, sold 600 million copies, while the vast majority of academic papers with a readability score of 16 to 18 have never even had a fraction of that resonance. J. Elliott recognizes simplicity of communication in Steve Jobs as well, and he said, great communicators don't start with what they know, they start with what the audience knows. 2. Being concise and economical with words makes your message stand out. How were Jeff Bezos, Winston Churchill, and Abraham Lincoln similar? They were some of history's most iconic and quotable leaders and communicators. The reason that they were so impactful was that they used shorter words and plain language to relay their messages. Churchill once said, "The shorter words of a language are usually the most ancient." Their meaning is more ingrained in the national character and they appeal to greater force. This philosophy was also ingrained in Amazon and was explained by Bom Kim, a Harvard Business School dropout and Amazon disciple who went to build the Amazon of South Korea, Kupang. Kim explains a service that the similar companies provide like this. Order as late as midnight and wake up to find your item when you wake up. Place your order, head to bed, wake up to find your items at your door like Christmas morning. The way he uses his words has a grade 3 level of understandability. He could have chosen to say that the company leverages machine learning to anticipate demand and to forward deploy the inventory closer to customers, but he didn't because a concise, plain explanation was more memorable. Nassim Taleb says that aphorisms are one of the key ways that leaders implement the skill of compressing powerful ideas into a handful of words. When Warren Buffett says you can't produce a baby in 1 month by getting 9 women pregnant, he's compressed the idea of the importance of patience for investors into a memorable and catchy phrase that connects with the audience. 3. Paying attention to the mechanisms of great writing make your ideas more impactful. Bezos, like Warren Buffett, is a prolific writer who has written 21 shareholder letters for Amazon. Former Amazon executives describe his letters as the pinnacle of business writing and communication. Great writing was the core method that Amazon used to communicate ideas. Instead of Microsoft PowerPoint presentations, which they found to be a waste of time and an inhibitor to clear thinking, Bezos used 2 or 6 page memos. These memos were written by the proponent of an idea, sometimes over the course of weeks in collaboration with many others, in order to distill the essence of ideas to their core before they landed on the laps of decision makers. If the ideas were about a product, a mock PR release would be the format that Bezos preferred, so that the developers of the product and the decision makers would begin by thinking from the customer's perspective. In the Amazon that Bezos built, good writing was swimming, ineffective writing was sinking. Bezos developed this skill over decades and gradually became the prolific writer that he is today. He wasn't trying to get a baby in 1 month by getting 9 women pregnant. Becoming a great writer, like anything in life, takes practice and a commitment to learning the mechanics of great writing that have been used throughout history by the best writers. The following are the key elements. Firstly, begin sentences with subjects and verbs. Subjects and verbs are the strongest parts of any sentence, so they should always lead and be as close to each other as possible. For example, there's a difference between the following sentences. Sentence A: Amazon's vision is to build Earth's most customer centric company, a place where customers can come to find and discover anything and everything they might want to buy online. Sentence B: The vision that Amazon has is to build Earth's most customer centric company, a place where customers can come to find and discover anything and everything they might want to buy online. The first sentence starts with a subject and verb, so it's more active, and the second is more passive, making the first more impactful. Secondly, order words for emphasis. Many writing experts recommend putting the strongest points at the beginning and leaving an interesting word at the end for impact. The middle is where the weaker parts should hide. For example, in the sentence, "We love to be pioneers. It's in the DNA of the company and it's a good thing too, because we'll need that pioneering spirit to succeed." The following parts, "We love to be pioneers" and "pioneering spirit to succeed," are by far the most impactful sections of the sentence. The middle part is made up of connectors which are less interesting. Thirdly, use the active voice most of the time. The active voice is more direct, bold, and concise than the passive voice. This is so important that William Zinsser says in his book On Writing Well that it is the difference between life and death for a writer. For example, sentence A: Jeff Bezos founded Amazon in 1994. Sentence B: Amazon was founded by Jeff Bezos in 1994. Which sentence sounds more memorable? The first, Jeff Bezos founded Amazon in 1994, because the subject should always be close to the verb. Fourthly, unleash strong verbs. Strong verbs are verbs that don't rely on adverbs for their meaning. Strong verbs are more meaningful and illustrative and display confidence and certainty. For example, in the sentence, "We listen to customers, invent on their behalf, personalize the story for each of them, and earn their trust," the following words, listen, invent, personalize, and earn are strong verbs because they don't rely on adverbs for their meaning. They convey confidence in a more meaningful way. Fifth of all, avoid verb qualifiers in weasel words. Leaders should sound assertive when they communicate to stand a chance at being persuasive. Verb qualifiers and adverbs destroy that. For example, in sentence A, missionaries make better products, they care more. Compared to sentence B, I sort of think that missionaries tend to make better products, they seem to care a bit more. What sentence sounds more convincing? Sentence A, of course. Verb qualifiers are phrases like sort of, tend to, kind of, seem to, and could have. Stephen King once wrote, "The adverb is not your friend. The road to hell is paved with adverbs." Those words that end in "ly" describe verbs and can easily be removed without affecting the sentence. Sixthly, vary sentence length. Many writers fear long sentences. The truth is, mixing short, medium, and long sentences adds variation to your writing that engages the reader. For example, here's an excerpt from the 2000 shareholder letter. Ouch! It's been a brutal year for the capital markets and certainly for Amazon.com shareholders. As of this writing, your shares are down more than 80% from when I wrote you last year. Nevertheless, by almost any measure, Amazon.com, the company, is in a stronger position now than at any time in the past. Varying sentence length has made for a more engaging experience for the reader or listener. Seventh, construct parallel structures. Parallel construction is a grammatical device that, according to Gallo, uses the same pattern to express two or more ideas, which gives the ideas the same level of importance. For example, Bezos wrote, "We are proud of our low prices, our reliable delivery, and our in-stock position on even obscure and hard-to-find items." That reads better than, "We are proud of Amazon's low prices, the fact that customers get their products delivered reliably, and find most of their items to be in stock when they want them." Parallel construction makes the delivery of information more economical and impactful by improving pacing and reducing word count. Next, putting your bottom line up front focuses your audience's minds on the main idea. Commander's intent is a communication tactic learned by US military leaders where they have to begin a communication with the mission's big picture. The big picture has to be clear, concise, and easily understandable so that if there's anything the troops take away from the communication, it's a commander's intent. In an environment as volatile as military operations can be, a concise, clear statement like, "Our mission is to destroy the enemy's radar equipment at Objective Bravo to prevent the early detection of subsequent air attacks," versus a vague order like, "We will attack vigorously," can spell the difference between life and death. That's why every briefing in the US military begins and ends with the commander's intent, answers the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why, and lastly, begins with the statement, "The single most important thing we must accomplish is ... Over the last 30 years, cognitive psychologists have conducted studies that illustrate the effectiveness of this communication strategy. Effective communicators, leaders, and teachers start with the big ideas and then use details to support them. This is a universal rule of effective communication. In the world of content creation, Mr. Beast does this by choosing video concepts that can be communicated in one clear, concise, and interesting sentence like, "I opened a restaurant that pays you to eat at it." That statement makes a promise even before his audience engages with the content. He then makes sure to verbally communicate that very sentence as the first line in the video and flashes the words across the screen. Next, he begins fulfilling the promise that he's made to the audience. That strategy has earned him 43.1 billion views on his content and the title of the biggest content creator in history. In the world of business, Jeff Bezos perfects this with examples like his 2002 shareholder letter, which gave his shareholders hope at a time when Amazon stock had fallen from $113 to $6 following the infamous dot-com market crash. He began the letter in the following way. Ouch. It's been a brutal year for many in the capital markets and certainly for many Amazon.com shareholders. As of this writing, our shares are down more than 80% from when I wrote you last year. Nevertheless, by any measure, Amazon.com, the company, is in a stronger position now than at any time in the past. In 4 short sentences, Bezos was able to communicate the following. 1. He acknowledges the difficult conditions that the market is in. 2. Shareholders should not give up because Amazon's future is still bright. You can also make sure the idea passes the so what test. It's a test when you ask so what 3 times to get to the core of your message that needs to be communicated. E.g., when Apple introduced its new chip, Gallo says that the message was crafted like this. What are we announcing? The M1, the first Apple chip designed specifically for the Mac. So what? It's Apple's first system on a chip. So what? It has 16 billion transistors, making it the world's fastest CPU core. So what? The M1 chip is a gigantic leap forward for the Mac, delivering more power, faster performance, and longer battery life. What message do you think Tim Cook, Apple CEO, used in the announcement? The last. The M1 chip is a gigantic leap forward for the Mac, delivering more power, faster performance, and longer battery life. That is the power of the so what test. Next, using symbols, metaphors, and analogies make complex ideas more relatable. The human mind's design responds to stories more than any other form of information. Stories give meaning to otherwise bland information that allows us to both connect with and recall information that is presented to us. Symbols, metaphors, and analogies are condensed stories that can make complex information more memorable, impactful, and relatable. They bring information to life because they map subjects that we are unfamiliar with to subjects that we are familiar with. Bezos was religious when it came to instilling these stories into his company's culture. 3 examples show his emphasis of these 3 elements. Number 1, the day one metaphor. Number 2, the internet as electricity analogy. And number 3, the empty chair symbol. Number 1, the day one metaphor. The day one metaphor may be the single biggest reason why Amazon remains as experimentative, agile, and risk embracing as a startup, despite being one of the biggest companies in the world. Jeff first used it in 1997 in his first shareholder letter when he wrote, "This is day one for the internet," to communicate the fact that the internet was still in its infancy and there was much more to come. Over the 9,863 days that Jeff ran Amazon, day one evolved from a simple metaphor into a core mantra of the organization. Jeff repeated it in his shareholder letters, employee meetings, and in his interactions with the media. In a world where companies became complacent as they grew bigger, Amazon would remain in day one, pushing the edge, experimenting, learning, and growing. That mindset made the organization invent more and more blockbuster products like AWS, Kindle, Alexa, one-click shopping, and more, while most companies rely on legacy products and incremental improvements. That's the power of metaphor. 2. The internet as electricity. When the dot-com bubble burst in 2000, throwing the technology industry into turmoil, it was easy to dismiss the commercial potential of the internet as a gold rush that boomed for a while and crushed when the gold was over. It had happened so many times in history that it wouldn't be surprising if the internet story was just another gold rush. Bezos believed that the world was wrong, saying, "In a gold rush, when it's over, it's over." The world needed a better analogy to define the internet, and Bezos would be the person to give it one. "The internet is electricity," said Bezos to a crowd, explaining that when electrical infrastructure was installed, companies innovated and used it to make new products, electrical appliances, and electronics, and companies made electrical lights, fans, irons, vacuums, cleaners, washing machines, and computers. And the 20th century saw the rise of countless companies that became extremely successful following this wave. Hoover, IBM, Dyson, Sony, Ramtoms, Philips, Apple, and so on. The internet was the next major platform shift that would empower companies of the 21st century to make interesting products and services, and Amazon would be at the forefront of that revolution. With that, Jeff changed the narrative, and while many other companies died, Amazon not only survived, it thrived. 3. The empty chair symbol. Bezos decreed that all boardroom meetings should have a single empty chair in Amazon's early days to symbolize the customer. It forced every executive discussion and decision to take the customer's perspective into account. That small symbol had a massive impact on the company's focus on customer obsession. Jeff also emphasized customer obsession by making every employee's desk out of recycled doors, even as the company grew larger. It was a symbol that reminded employees that Amazon would only spend money on things that affected their boss, the customer. In conclusion, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella says that there are 2 types of people in the world of business: the know-it-alls and the learn-it-alls. Gallo comments on this, writing that the know-it-alls don't last very long in the digital economy, where the pace of change is unlike anything we've seen in history. In this environment, the learn-it-alls are the ones who shine. They adapt, grow, and thrive no matter what changes come their way. We live in a noisy world with constant distractions from ads, content messages, and so on. Carmine Gallo, the author of the Bezos Blueprint, describes studies in his book that show that after the first 15 seconds of a written document, about 45% of readers drop off. Attention is perishable, so learning to communicate effectively not only allows us to be more impactful in our work, it enables us to be respectful of our audience's attention. Jeff Bezos understood this, that's why his communication techniques were deliberate and innovative in a way that allowed Amazon to grow into the giant it is today, while maintaining that unique, agile, and risk embracing culture of a startup. Learning to do the same will enable us to build ourselves and organizations that make a bigger impact on the world. Thank you so much for making it to the end. Now, here's a word from our sponsor. An off plan apartment is a property purchased before it's built. It's based on architectural plans, designs, or a model, and it's often at a discounted price. How do you buy an apartment in Nairobi for a discount with hassle free payment terms on installment and a say on the design of your dream property? You buy off plan. But I know what you're thinking. How can I trust a product if I can't see or touch it? What if the developer doesn't deliver? What if I lose my investment? Don't worry. At Ridgemont, we believe you've earned the right to have the peace of mind that comes from a real estate partner that walks the journey to finding your dream property with you. A solution that's personalized to your preferences, goals, and budget, always working for you, and giving you options so you're never under pressure to make such an important decision that may lead to regrets if done too hastily. It's a little expensive, but it's worth the peace of mind. Would you be willing to explore it? Click the link in the description to register for our exclusive event all about it. Buying off-plan apartments in Nairobi the right way. Coming soon. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and click on your screen to watch another video from us. All the best, and until next time.